What's up? No one taught black men this growing up. First things first, I really wish when I was younger, s- there could have been somebody older to tell me, like, because these men are black, they can be your brothers. Y'all can't have a connection that you don't really have with any other person in this country, let alone in this world, because we have a shared experience when it comes to our history, when it comes to a lot of things, because I believe that a lot of the times we are so disconnected from everything, disconnected from coming together, disconnected from building something together, disconnected from culture, our culture, which we have to build from scratch in the United States. And you have to be taught that your black brother is not your enemy. The black man is not your common enemy. As a black man, your black man is not your enemy. He's not your true enemy, but he can become your enemy. You know what I'm saying? He can become your enemy, but he isn't your true enemy. He is not why you're here today. It's a different race. A white man is that's the reason why you are here today. That is your common enemy. He's the one that oppressed you, right? The black man did not do that. The black man is actually for you, right? But there's so many men out there who are super ignorant. They're super in the life of just chasing pleasure. So they can't really help anybody. They can't even help themselves if they tried. So that's one thing I wish growing up, not just the things that I wish, but I wish a lot of men growing up would have been taught that we can have community. We can come together. Yes, because we are the same race, we can come together as long as we're looking to help each other and build each other. Obviously, I know that just because you're black doesn't mean that you're a good person. You got a good heart and you're out there to help and build something with people. But I think that when you find those men who have that mentality and they're also black, that's something that's very valuable. I was just talking to a friend the other day or yesterday, and it's just very powerful when two black men come together. They believe in each other. They want each other to be better, and they want to build something together in life. That's very powerful. And imagine if it's 10, 20, 30, 100 men. Imagine if it's a whole neighborhood of men raising their sons to be that way, raising just men all around the world to be that way, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this something is more for black people as a whole, not just specifically black men, but black people as a whole, black women and black men, is we have to stop making Europe European Eurocentric looks the beauty standard. Make black looks the beauty standard. Make African looks the beauty standard. I was just talking to my brother, and he was, because I mean, y'all don't know, but I oftentimes, he might think that I'm misogynistic sometimes and X, Y, and Z, but I really spit some real true game when it came to, I think, the psychology of black people when it comes to what we think looks good. I remember when I was younger, you know, um, everybody would be like, "Hey, you got good hair. You mix with something. You X, Y, and Z." I think that we associate if we got more straight looking hair or more European look to us, or we look like we're mixed with something as a black man, we're deemed as more attractive. When in reality, it's what the it's whoever set the standard. I know I'm stuttering, but it's whoever set the standard, and the person who set the standard is the person that says this looks good, and it happens like that through it being coming, through it being normalized, through the majority of people doing it. Because if you go post slavery, post colonization, black women did not, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have weave and wigs where they was wearing their hair to look like a white woman or a different race of a woman, right? So, I think that more kind of falls on women and stuff, because men were forced to kind of be in reality. If we're balding, if we're if we can't live in a delusional world as a man. So I think that that kind of goes for more of the woman because they want to beautify themselves a lot more. But even with black men though, it still holds truth when it comes to psychologically because I believe that there's so many men who we grow up and we deem the pretty girl to be the light skinned girl or the white girl, right? I even remember when I was younger watching Disney Channel and all these, these kid shows and stuff. The pretty girl was always the light skinned girl or was the white girl. It was never the dark skinned girl. It was never the person who had a darker skin tone. It was always the lighter skinned people. Either that was black but it was light skinned or it was white, right? So that is just something very fundamental because I remember when I was younger too, I used to like light skinned girls and the mixed girls and the white girls, right? But as I got older, I went towards more of what was liking me, not what I was liking. And what liked me more was, you know, darker skinned women, and they're beautiful too. And I think that it's just that it got, racism has a lot to do with that. Just associate you don't we don't oftentimes associate that with masculine with femininity. We'll associate it with masculinity and being a meaner person and being an uglier person when that's just not the case. But that's just the times we live in, right? That's the times we live in where that's going on. And the third thing is that your actual black history, not just what you were taught in school. And I kind of want to talk around certain stuff because I feel like if I talk about one certain thing, it'd be more, it could, put my channel at jeopardy, and I just started. So understand, bro, understand how much you were taught about your history in school, and then understand how much you were taught about another race's history in school, right? We are so Europeanized in this day and age. And I used to just think, oh, you know what? It's just we're all just Americans, but it's different for Black people. It's very very different because we get the short end of the stick every time, and then when whatever statistics come out, it make it seem like we're just the ones at the very end and we're not doing anything, and you know, it's a form of miseducation and indoctrination when it comes to educating a Black person because they never really know who they are. They'll go to college and everything and still never know a lick of who they really are, right? And me, I'm not in college. I went to college for 1 year, right? But I want to read actual books. I want to educate myself because I think that to me that's the most strongest way to actually learn for myself, right? And I'm not against college. Go to college, be educated, go for what you want to do. But it is something that's very powerful when you know who you are, right? And you know your history and you know your culture and you know all these things, which Black people today, we don't know nothing of who we are, right? And I've said this in previous videos. Look at your last name. If you're watching this, think about your last name. Is your last name European or is it an African last name? And you got dark skin and you're an African person, you know. So it's just kind of it's very sad and it can get you very very mad. Understand that this stuff gets snubbed out and it gets put under the rug for a reason. Why? Because it puts the people who built this country in a bad light, and the even currently the people who are in power, they don't want to look like they're in a bad light, like they did anything wrong. You can get on a commercial, you can see on a commercial right now about what these people did to these people and what this man did to these people, but you will never hear about, you know, what these men did to slaves and what happened in this country, right? We're gonna learn about what happened in another country, right? So it's just something that I think that in the future, when we have more Black owned things and we start to come together and we start to separate ourselves from other races and actually gain our own independence, that's where we're gonna start to be more self-educated and educated on who we really are. Because living in America, man, and I'm not no political person. I'm just strictly for Black people, and yeah, living in America, we got to understand that we're never gonna get the full history of who we are from a white man, from the white people. We're not gonna never truly get that, right? We're not gonna never truly get the respect and be treated how we're supposed to be treated. We have to get it. We have to take it. Whatever we do, we're gonna have to take it, right? And I just want to really break. I really want to emphasize how important it is that we know our history. And I'm a person I don't know all of our history, but I know that that's important in knowing your identity, right? It's very important in knowing your identity. A lot of the times you can break this down to just individual lives. Imagine if you didn't know your father. Well, and I know it's a lot of men who don't know their father, a lot of people who don't know their father, but that's damaging. You don't know who your father is because that's a part of your identity that you don't know. You don't. A lot of the people who are adopted, they have that sense of not knowing who they are, right? And I know I'm giving just kind of mediocre examples, but you get the point. It's very important, and it can damage you when you don't know who you are, especially on a such a big scale like with what would happen with Black people. And it really make me mad because I live in a small town, and you can see like where they used to. It's like these little cargo things that's almost in the middle of the city where it show where the slaves and stuff was like inside of these little like these like buggies, these big old like buggies, like these cages that had the wheels on the end that you could drag. And it really make you think like don't be naive. Don't think that people are just normal now. That came from somewhere, and that the heart of that to me is still in America, right? It's just in a different way because we have to understand too. You know what? I'm gonna go deeper into that, but let me get to the what I had planned to say. Uh, Another thing about what Black men weren't taught growing up and how they should have been taught. This is more of how they should have been taught, how they should have had a certain relationship with their father. Now, the father's emotional absence will create Black men who are insecure in their masculinity. There's so many Black dudes that I don't want to say toxic masculinity because I don't like using that. I want a man to be masculine. I don't try to just throw, I don't like using that type of word. But it's a lot of men who think masculinity is being this type of macho man who can't express himself and can't show any type of emotion. I can tell you right now, as a person who kind of had a father who was emotionally absent a little bit, um, that it does affect you. It does affect your feeling of feeling accepted and your male connection. But I think that there's things you can spend time with your father and stuff like that. But I think as a Black man, we need more of the men being emotionally present in the family, being the mind of the family, being the intellect of the family. Because when we have that, then we go against the stereotype and we start building back the structure of the family. And when we do that, that's when we become strong again. That's when we become independent again. That's when we really become powerful again. Um, like nowadays, it's ideologies of the man need to be over the woman need to be over a man. It's just a whole bunch of stuff nowadays. But I think that all that is just built to separate the family from being together and the family from being powerful and harmonious, right? Because if they do have the family is super dysfunctional. And so I think that that is the kind of the that's kind of what all I had to say. Uh, yeah. Peace out.